Who do I do a video on how to play next? Yeah. No. No. Oh God, no, please. No! What is going on, guys? Hunter Producer here, bringing you guys a brand new video. Today we are going to be talking about how to play GNAR. Now, disclaimer, please, before I get into this, I haven't played GNAR in like 4 seasons, okay? So the gameplay that I'm playing behind you that you can kind of see, it's terrible, okay? So just don't pay attention to it. I couldn't put a how to play out about how to play GNAR and then play Mundo top lane. That just wouldn't make sense, right? So just let's not pay attention to it. So before we jump right into how to play GNAR, let's get the question of the video in there before things get a little too crazy and I forget. So the question of this video will be, do you like to play GNAR, and do you think he's busted, or do you think that he's worthless? Because a lot of people really don't know how to play GNAR because GNAR is so technical and he's so, well, let's face it, hard to play. So that is going to be the question. Leave a comment down below and tell me your answer to that question. So let's get right into the video. So GNAR, the lovable, annoying, cute, and cuddly top laner that we all know and love. Now GNAR is one of those champions that whenever there's one on your team, it seems like they don't know what the heck they're doing, but when there's one on the other team, they're gods. It's like they're amazing at what they do. So I'm gonna teach you, or at least give you a general understanding and maybe give you just a little nudge in the right direction to becoming that god if you do play top lane or if you play any lane and want to know how to play GNAR. So with that being said, let's jump right into his abilities. Now, his passive, Rage Gene. Yes, it's a weird one, but it's called Rage Gene. And essentially what this does is GNAR has a rage bar. So he doesn't have a mana bar and he doesn't have an energy bar. He's got a rage bar that basically collects rage over time that is collected via the damage that he does or the damage that he takes. Now, when this bar gets completely full, he transforms into Mega GNAR and gains quite a bit of health, which is scaling upon level, so it's not like a set amount of health that you gain, but it is scaling. Now, this is important because this is why GNAR is so broken, and this is why GNAR is so useful in team fights, because the abilities are a little different. So this is going to be a little bit of a longer video. I apologize in advance, but I'm going to try and hurry because I know that you guys are going to want to try this out. So I'm going to go through and do all of regular GNAR's form, do all of regular GNAR's abilities, and then I'll switch it over and do Mega GNAR's abilities. So his Q is going to be Boomerang Throw. Now, essentially what this does is he tosses out a boomerang and it comes back to him because that's what boomerangs do. Now, what this does a little bit of damage. So if it goes through an enemy, on the way back, it will not deal damage a second time. So it only does damage that one time, and it has a very far travel distance unless you hit something. If you hit something that dramatically reduces the range that it goes, it stops it after a little bit and brings it back to you. So just keep in mind that you can't just throw it through a minion wave to get to the enemy because it will just come back to you after it hits the minion. It has a very long cooldown, but if you are able to catch it on the return, it dramatically reduces that cooldown. So let's move on to his W. Now, this is going to be called Hyper. Now, essentially what this does is it's very similar to Vayne, as each auto attack or an attack from the boomerang throw puts a stack on the enemy. Now, this can be used on enemy champions, monsters, or minions. Now, when you break these 3 stacks, he gains a small amount of movement speed, and the third auto attack on the same enemy does do a little bit of extra damage. I believe it has an AP ratio, but it's not worth building AP because it doesn't scale well enough. But maybe you could give it a shot. I'd be interested to see if you have given it a shot. Let me know. I don't know if I already said this, so I'm just gonna say it again. It does give him a movement speed buff as well. So if he does pop those, it gives him a little bit of extra movement speed. So let's jump into his E, which is going to be Hop. That was dumb. Now what this does is GNAR jumps to a specific location. It's very simple. It's simple. You just jump. That's all you really do. So the mechanic behind this is that if you jump and you land on a minion, whether that be enemy or teammate or your minion or whatever, if you land on something, it will actually propel him another distance. So you can basically double jump off of a minion's head or off of a teammate's head or off of the champion's head, and it does apply a little bit of damage, but what's important is that it does apply a stack. So if you're able to get a Q, auto attack hop, maybe to get behind him or get away from him, it will help you get that movement speed to maybe get out or maybe keep tracking down the enemy. Now, Gnar's ultimate is literally called Gnar with an exclamation point. But essentially what this does is he transforms into Mega Gnar after a short period. So if your rage bar hits red, that means that you are able to transform. Now, if you don't want to transform yet, you can hold off, but just know that if you keep attacking minions, it'll actually make the amount of time that you can stay in normal Gnar shorter. So if you are trying to hold on to it, just understand that you need to kind of stay still for a second. But once you hit that red bar, it will not go away, so you will have to transform. So with this being the case, when your red bar fills and you're a little Gnar, your ability bar will actually change, and this will change and make it so that you can, as regular Gnar, the next time you use this ability, it will switch you into Mega Gnar. So your W will switch from a W to his ground slam, which we'll get into. And if you use that ability, he will immediately transform into using that ability. So that can be something that you can use, or you can just transform by auto attacking, which can make things easier for you as well. Now, let's jump in and look at the flip side and look into Mega Gnar's abilities. Now, you've got Boulder Toss for Mega Gnar for his Q. The passive stays the same. Now, essentially, this is the same thing as Boomerang Throw, except he grabs a boulder out of the ground, throws it over to a target location, and it will stay there. It will not come back to you, and it has the same properties as the Boomerang Throw. So if you do want that cooldown reduction drastically reduced, then you have to go and actually pick up the boulder. I've got something in my eye. This is bad. Hold on. And it will reduce the cooldown, but it does an AoE damage effect, and it does a lot of damage as you level it up. So with his W, this is going to be, now all he does at this point is he's got a little bit of a line in front of him that he throws down his fist and stuns everything in the way. Nothing too out of the ordinary with that one. He just stuns enemies. Now with his E, he's got Crunch. Now what he does, because he is now Mega Gnar, he can't actually hop off of somebody's head, but he does jump to a certain distance, slams the ground, and does an AoE damage. It's not a lot of damage, but it is some damage. But this is really just mobility, and this is something that Gnar has in his kit so that you can set up your ult a little better and get into fights to maybe get to the back line or maybe throw the front line out of the way. So with that, let's talk about throwing people out of. So with Gnar's ultimate, he has an incredibly useful ability for team fights and for just insane plays. Now what he does is he reaches behind him and he scoops up a bunch of earth and throws it in a location, and that includes everything that is within a certain target range around him, and he tosses them to a location. If you play TFT, you probably have seen it before. Now what's interesting about this one is it does do a little bit of damage, but if you throw them out into the open, it slows them a little bit, but I mean, that's really all it does. But if you're able to throw them into a wall, it will actually stun them. Now, this is going to be the main reason that Gnar is so busted, because he's able to jump into a team fight with his E, and he's able to scoop everybody up and throw them against a wall and try to get maybe even a 5-man stun. And with his W, Wallop being in the same class of CC, he's able to actually get multiple stuns off. He's able to slam people into the wall, stun the carries, and let your teammates do the rest, because after that you're kind of just a tank. Now it has a very long cooldown, but they recently gave him a little bit of an update that pretty much at the later stages of the game, every time you turn into Mega Gnar, you do have your ultimate. Now, one thing that I did forget to mention about his rage is that it does have a little bit of a cooldown. So once you turn into Mega Gnar and you turn back into regular Gnar, it does have a little bit of a cooldown before you can start gaining rage again. Okay, so what runes are you going to want to take on Gnar? Now, I like to take Grasp of the Undying, and then really anything in that tree specifically, because it is a pretty strong tier for Gnar, because you can either build him very tanky or you can build him to be kind of a damage dealer if you have too many tanks already. So Grasp of the Undying is going to be the keystone that I take, and the second is going to be the Precision Tree. I'm going to take Triumph as the one, and the second one is really up to you because it doesn't matter. But being a tank and being in those team fights, if you're able to get some health back after your teammates are able to kill some of the people that you're stunning, it can really make a difference and keep you alive. Now you're going to want to take Teleport and Flash. If you're going to play super aggressive in the early game, then you can take Ignite, but I would highly recommend taking Teleport just because you need to be getting around the map. Items to get a phage as early as I can for the movement speed that it does offer, because you already have some in your kit. But Again, items, I can't really tell you which to pick because it's going to be situational for each game. However, if you're looking to go tanky, it's going to be tanky items, believe it or not. That's going to be Randuin's Omen, Dead Man's Play, that sort of thing. If you're looking to go kind of hybrid, maybe a Frozen Mallet, maybe a Borg, those sort of things. Now, how are you going to play Gnar? Because this is what's important. And essentially what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to watch your rage bars. That's all it really takes. Because when you're team fighting, you don't want to be little Gnar because you're not going to have as big of an impact in the game. You want to be Mega Gnar. So you need to time your transformation very well so that in the phases you're able to do a lot better in the team fights. So learning how to control that rage and essentially learn how to use it and learn how to basically learn how to fill that rage bar right as you're getting ready to find a team fight, or if you do fill your rage bar, maybe looking to engage a team fight so that it's not wasted, because if you do run out of time as Mega Gnar, you're going to be very, very vulnerable for a little bit, and your team isn't going to have that super tank engage that they need to have. Okay, so this is just a short overview of how to play Gnar, just me covering some of the basics with some little tips included in there, or maybe some little snippets of things that you didn't know about Gnar or didn't know how to play. If you want to see me dive more in depth about Gnar specifically, just let me know down in the comments. I love to do these I love to teach you guys, and I love to make sure that you guys are taken care of and know how to play the champs that you want to play. Now with that, in order for me to know which champs you guys want to know how to play, you've got to let me know down in the comments so I know which one to choose next. If I don't get a comment by the time the next how to play video is ready to be filmed, I'm just going to pull a name out of a hat, and chances are I'm going to get somebody like Gnar that I have no clue what I'm doing, and so I can't give you as many tips about him as I could for some others. So be sure to let me know down in the comments which champion you want to see done next. Now, with that being said, guys, if you did enjoy the video, be sure to leave a like down below as well as a comment and let me know about the question that I asked at the beginning. Do you like to play Gnar, and do you think he is very good to have on the team, or do you think he's just a waste of time and he should be reworked? So let me know. Don't forget to subscribe as well. It also lets me know that you guys do enjoy the videos that I make and the content that I create. So just hit that subscribe button. It's like right here, I think. Just hit it. But anyway, guys, with that all being said, thank you so much. Have a wonderful day. And thank you for joining the Stone Army.